reminder that we will be taking, your name will be submitted for a raffle by signing in and participating later when we ask for examples in the event. So I will go ahead and get started. Hello, welcome to this event. We'll be talking about pitching your design for this SD Hacks event with SWE. That's us, and I labeled it 2.0 in case you were with us last year. We did a similar thing in person, but glad to be back. And so just to announce like who we are, introduce ourselves a bit, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Megan. I'm a fourth year aerospace major, and I happen to be from Warren College, but I'll let Medina introduce herself real fast.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Medina. I'm the Technical Development Chair for SWE. I'm also a senior aerospace engineering student, and I'm in Ravel if you'd like to know.
Yeah, I'm also academic chair for SWE as my position. And so just to clarify where we're coming from, we're with the Society of Women Engineers organization at UCSD. And we're a diverse group of passionate young women excited about encouraging women in STEM and supporting their education and movements. And so some of the activities that we do is outreach to K-12 students. We have mentorship and social events within our org, as well as networking with industries like Northrop Grumman and Lockheed. And we also have technical team projects like Medina said she was part of, if you're ever interested in looking at that. But into the presentation. So I'll just start off in general, like asking what is a pitch? And I'm sure you might have heard of it in preparing this project, but a pitch is just basically the short presentation that you give at the end that's 2 to 3 minutes long to get people excited and interested about your idea. Usually giving the broad concept and the important key details and challenges that you faced. And sometimes it's followed by a Q&A if this were in person at this event. It might just be followed by the judging, which is all right. And so just to go into a bit of details about the elements of a good pitch that we noticed in previous events, basically the main idea is to tell your story, understand that you are the protagonist of the story, you're facing the challenges and finding the solutions. And so you need to define the problem and define who your target audience is, who needs the problem to be solved, whether that be if you're aiming to make a project for children or if you're solving a project directly for the judges that are going to be looking at your event. Just understand exactly where you're going to take that position. And so along those lines, you need to explain exactly what your product is and how it can help that customer and sort of emphasize the important points and not get too lost in the technical details. And most of all, just show it off. Be proud of the project that you made too. And so with kind of those ideas and some of the things listed here, I think we're going to start with a really quick draft of the 3 things that you might need to highlight in your personal pitch. And so some of the things you might think of are the problem that you're addressing that we talked about and what's unique about your solution and how you're going to be implementing that. And so I think it might just take a couple minutes to try to write those down, write some notes down, and we might ask for an example to sort of speak out on those details. And so I'm going to play a little music while we take those minutes, but keep in mind that anyone who shares an example will be added once again to the raffle prize. So, and ask us any questions in the comments too. We can go ahead and start drafting. All right, as you're writing things down, I think it might be fair to say, like, if there's anyone that's finished soon and would like to participate, you can go ahead and put a thumbs up in the participants or reactions. And if no one wants to volunteer, we'll just move on.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on. It's totally fine if you didn't want to share your ideas just yet, but while you have an idea of what to include in your pitch, it's also important to keep in mind your body language, because that's just as important as what you have to say as well. So definitely, it's not only important just for if you were, for example, giving your pitch live or in person, but also if, in this case, since you'll be recording your pitch and submitting that, it's just as important. So some things to keep in mind is to be passionate about your content. So try not to, I guess, read off of a script and try to, I guess, sound robotic, but you should definitely be proud of what you created. So try to convey that as you're talking about your design. And then definitely be confident in your pitch as well. So you can do this by introducing yourself with a smile. If you happen to show yourself as you're talking about the product, again, you can smile every now and then. It'll definitely help you feel more calm as you're presenting. And like I said before, since you are recording this, there's no stress at all. So you can always go back and fix any mistakes you might have made, or for example, if you need to project more. So there's no need to stress about it. So just be confident. And then, of course, have a good posture as well. So again, that ties back to being confident as well. So it'll help you to at least convey your ideas a bit better and seem like you're more invested in your design. All right. And again, since this is virtual, there are some things to keep in mind. Check your mic volume as you're recording. You want to make sure that the judges or your audience can hear you when they play back your pitch. So you can do this once you've recorded your pitch, just play it back, make sure that you yourself can hear yourself at a normal, I guess, computer volume. And then try to record yourself in a room that doesn't have a lot of background noise. You don't want to distract your audience with that background noise. You want them to focus on you and your product. And then try to avoid looking far off screen. For example, to read notes, you want to look into the camera, so that way you're trying to mimic what you would in a, I guess, live or in-person conversation. So it's like you're giving the attention to your audience. And while this isn't live, some things to keep in mind in the future if you were to give a live presentation is if you have any resource links that you want to share, you want to have that available so that you can share that quickly, for example, in the chat. So that's something to keep in mind. And then if you are, for example, showcasing your product, for example, by screen recording, I'm sorry if you can hear anything in the background, just be detailed. And oh, don't worry about that, Megan. So just be detailed. Try and figure out what it is that you want to showcase. Make sure that if you're showing a certain aspect of your app, you want to be able to just make sure you're showing them exactly. Like, oh, look to the far right. This is what it is that, for example, your app is doing. All right. And so in preparing for your pitch and recording it, it's good to know your audience and their judging criteria. So for example, thankfully what you have with the SD Hacks Discord is you already have the judging rubric. We have that here as well for you to look at. So just some things to keep in mind are originality and creativity, technical complexity, adherence to theme. In this case, the tracks for SD Hacks, which are you can also find on the Discord. and then practical and implementation. So you want to try and address each of these in your pitch. And then try to anticipate what questions your audience might ask, even though there isn't a live Q&A session like there might have been in previous years. It's good to at least try to address maybe those questions. That way, I guess it ties back to being confident as well, but you have a more effective pitch in doing so. Some questions you might want to, I guess, address in your pitch, or maybe what are some of the challenges you faced? If you had more time, what would you focus on in your design? And then how does this product stand out from a competitor? What makes it unique? So this kind of ties back into that originality and creativity criteria. All right, and on this side, we have our useful resources. So this will be helpful in crafting your pitch, or maybe if you want to review a few things that maybe in other hackathons could be useful for your pitch. And since we will be sending out the slides later, or at least I think might be able to find it in a folder provided by SD Hacks, but regardless, you will have these slides. You can always go back and check out these links and potentially go over anything more for your pitch. All right, so since we have a small group this time, we don't need to break out into small groups, but we're going to be going back to something similar like that crafting pitch exercise we did earlier. So we're going to give you all 5 minutes to write down a few important things to highlight about your design or your product that you want to implement into your pitch. And then what we'll have is we'll have at least one person pitch their idea to everyone else in the main room right here. You'll have 2 to 3 minutes, just like you would if you were recording your pitch or giving your pitch live. And then everyone else will give feedback. And we're also here, we'll try to give feedback as well. We'll tell you what was done well, what can be done better. And then if you do participate, not only do you get to practice, because this is a great way to practice doing that, but we'll also enter your name into the raffle another time, just so that you have that chance for the gift card that we'll be giving out. So with that in mind, Megan will start playing some music, and you can start, we'll start the 5 minutes, try to write down a few important things to highlight, and then we'll try to do an example in a little bit.
Okay, I think I'm gonna hold, well, yeah, we'll see if anyone wants to give a thumbs up if they want to give a practice speech, then we'll see, or I'll just give it a couple more minutes and then maybe we can move on. Pause. All right then, I think that might be a good place to continue. Yeah, let's see what we have going. Yeah, I think I'll move on from this slide and continue this. And so this is just going to review again how to prepare. And so remember, be sure to check out the judging criteria on the Discord. Was it? I think it was in the judging channel. So be sure to talk about those details. And if you want to talk in detail about any more of those, we'll be around for a little bit later. But that was just review. And then another sort of last point to put in, sort of, we have a slide about tips for the dev post description. And so if you noticed, it said that it wasn't required to have the description like in your submission for the dev post, but that it was recommended. And so we wanted to point out that a lot of the elements that we discussed today when going over the pitch can apply to the description that you write out. And so if you're able to draft out anything about what your project does, how you built it, the challenges, contrasted with like the accomplishments, and then even reflecting on what was learned and what's next. And so those are kind of all the main points that we've seen in some of the popular dev post submissions. And so we made sure to link the resource that they had there. And hopefully some of the stuff that we went over today would be helpful in your submission overall. But we do wish the best of luck in the videos that you will be making. And I think this is our closing slide. I think Medina will take over for the see what we want to do about the raffle. But thank you again for coming and listening and recording for us, for the SEA Hacks people. But just a reminder, like we're SWE UCSD, and you can email us here or at our personal emails if you had any other questions or if you're watching this later in the event. But I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Medina.
All right, so I will actually be doing the raffle off screen, and then I'll notify the person who wins later. But if you haven't already, I'm going to put the sign-in link for the workshop in the chat. So please sign in because we will use that for the raffle. And as Megan mentioned, if you have any questions for us, you can feel free to reach out to us in any of the previously mentioned methods. But you can also reach out to us in the Discord as well, and we'll try to answer your questions there. But with that said, thank you all for coming. And I hope you learned a lot about how to pitch your design.